Hello, everyone. Welcome to recitation 12. Currently, we are in week 13, and I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving break. So, again, in today's recitation, we are going to learn further in our spreadsheets series. So, I believe, like in our last recitation, that is recitation 11, we started off with spreadsheets in Excel, and we covered different kind of basic concepts and just had a hands-on environment of different kind of available functions in Excel, right? And also we covered some topics like VLOOKUP functions and all, right? So if you just quickly just open up our Canvas page, and if you just go to our schedule, just see where exactly we lie over here. So it says like after the Thanksgiving break, this is week 13, and we are going to learn about Excel tables and Excel pivot tables. So I think that's about the schedule. And regarding your assignments, I think currently assignment number 9 is popped up, and its due date is no assignment number 10. So the due date for assignment number 10 is December 8 over here, right? So this assignment's gonna have stuff related to pivot tables also. Like if you just wanna understand the instructions, please download the zip file, and you should be good to go to just work on this assignment in this particular whole week. I think this lecture recording should be up by Tuesday night to you guys. I'll just post an announcement after I'm done recording this lecture, okay? So without wasting time, let's just quickly start with today's recitation. I think it's gonna be light and basics. Again, we are gonna learn few cool stuff in Excel, and make sure, again, like always, I would suggest you guys to just practice hands along with me so that you'll get to know, and if you are stuck, you'll get to know like while doing the same thing simultaneously with me, right? So, okay. Awesome. So recitation 12, the topic for today's recitation again is pivot tables and extend tables. So like always, before we just start and take a deep dive into our series, just make sure that you download this particular file, which would be required for this particular recitation. So it says example3. This is the folder directory for this particular file. It says in your Canvas, go to files, go to 00 underscore recitation information folder, and then go to the folder of my name Sarjak, and then you will find another folder called recitation 12. Inside that, there's this file called example3.excel. So just download this file. It would have a couple of worksheets inside this whole Excel workbook, right? So we'll get along like how does it look like and what are the different kind of data over here, right? So what next? Okay. So like always, let's just try to understand what pivot tables are, why do we need them, and what's the basic layman definition of a pivot table. So again, the purpose of this recitation is to just practice processing large data sets. So like in the last recitation, like we practiced a couple of functions like sum, average, right? And also looked up for VLOOKUP function. So during that, our data set was not that large, right? We had just a couple of rows, like maybe 20, 100, 50, 100. So over here, we are going to deal with large data sets. Like our rows would be like around 800, maybe 2000, maybe 3000, right? So we're going to look that in scenarios wherein the data is really large, how we are supposed to just come up and meet the requirements and analyze the data depending on the different kind of questions we have, right? So for that purpose, I think pivot table is a lifesaver. Like it just makes our life very much easier. We're gonna like try to get the gist of pivot table with the help of a small analogy over here. Like, so I'll just let you know guys about what's that. So consider this jar, which you guys can see in front of your screen. So in this jar, there are different kind of lollies, and it has different kind of shapes: square, circle, star, right? And again, different kind of colors. So we have red, we have green, yellow, a shade of blue or something like that, right? So imagine again over here, if I ask you a question that how many red lollies are there, or let's say how many circle lollies are there. So of course, like one way is that you would just manually count and look into the jar and just let me know the count, of course, right? That there are so and so red color lollies are present, or there are so and so circle shaped lollies are present, right? But is it like very much efficient? Or let's say like if there are 500 lollies present inside a jar. So of course, it will not be feasible to just manually count. It's very time consuming, right? So that's the thing with, of course, if we just compare this thing with relatively large data sets. So this thing is, of course, not feasible. So for that, we have something called as pivot table, which will make our life very easier. So how? Let's just try to understand over here. So what pivot table does is, again, the answer is that the best way to get the answer is by creating a pivot table, right? We'll just see over here like what pivot table exactly does. So pivot tables are a way of restructuring and summarizing complex data sets into a table that allows us to find patterns or solutions to any questions we might have about the data set. Now, what kind of questions? So over here, we saw that there are two questions, like how many red lollies are there and how many circle lollies are there, right? So these are like kind of questions, like we are asking about the data and we want to know the answer, like to get the actual insights about our data, right? So if whenever like we face some kind of questions, creating the pivot table works the best because we'll just quickly get to know the answer within few fraction of seconds. So here, if you notice that in this right diagram, it has been just categorized the data based on, let's say over here, we have only the lollies which are circle in shape, right? Over here, we have only the lollies which are blue in color. These are just blue stars, right? So just see like with what kind of methodology or mechanism this pivot table concept follows, right? It just basically categorizes the data depending on the different kind of filters which we try to apply and to try to answer the question which we are getting as a requirement, right? So in a way, you are just grouping together different variables in the data set. This is also known as aggregating the data, right? Of course, over here, there are several ways to group these lollies, but we have seen these three particular combinations that you can group by color, you can group them by shape, you can also group them by shape and color, like depending on whatever you feel, so right? So I mean, this is just a small example by which we are trying to understand the need of pivot tables and what pivot tables actually do in a real scenario. Again, coming back to our definition, pivot tables makes it possible to present data in a structured manner. Okay, we may also collapse and expand the information by level. Now, this thing we are going to see like whenever we work on our first example using our pivot table, right? So don't worry about this. Like, so in simple words, again, the pivot table is a data analysis technique used for summarizing large data sets and answering questions you may have about the data. Simple. Okay, so again, over here, what are pivot tables used for? If I ask you that, so pivot tables, again, they are stuff which are used to just summarize or rearrange the data in a structured format manner, and it's very easier to understand because it just puts all the information in one big table, and we can just perform different kind of operations, let's say filtering or sorting based on our business requirements or what kind of questions we have, or what we want to understand about the data, right? And couple of real life use cases or examples I've just listed over here. Let's say we have we have to summarize the annual business expenses, right? Showing the average spending power of different customer demographics, showing the distribution of marketing spent across multiple channels. So I mean, these are a couple of real life scenarios wherein people use pivot tables to just make their life easier and to just save their time, right? So without wasting time, I mean, of course, all these topics are like created in such a manner in which we do not have to waste much time in learning the theory. It would be better to understand directly if we just start practicing the problems, right? So why to wait, and rather than just open up your Excel and open up the file which you have downloaded, which is example3.excel file, right? So over here, let me just open my Excel file and get it over here. Awesome. Let me just zoom this thing. Great. So here, this is our table, and we have a couple of columns over here, like country, salesperson. Again, notice that in this workbook over here, we have three different worksheets over here, Excel worksheets. One is sales, the other one is transactions 1, and the third one is transactions 2. If you just see over here in the bottom line over here, right? So we are currently working on sales file. So if you, in our PPT, it says open the sales worksheet and select the data for the pivot table. So we are going to create a pivot table from scratch, and we are going to try out different things and play around with the data, how the data looks, or what kind of inferences we can take from the data, right? So just for now, just pause this video and just open up this example3 file in your system, and just be ready that just make sure that you are currently on sales worksheet, right? And then what we're going to do is just click on any cell randomly over here and click on insert over here. So insert, and there's an option called pivot table. So I click on pivot table. You will see something like this. This kind of window will get pop up, right? So now you don't have to do anything else. Just click OK, because you want to select this existing by default option, which says new worksheet, which means you want to create this pivot table not on this existing worksheet. You want to create this on a whole separate new worksheet. You need not want to hinder the data which you already have, right? So I click on OK. So what it will do is it will create a new worksheet over here. Notice that it's written sheet 1, right? We can of course rename this thing, and we'll do it in a while. So here, if you see that you have a couple of options in your right hand side screen. Let me just pull this thing somewhere over here. Okay, cool. So this is just a pivot table screen, and over here this is a blank table for now. We are going to see this is our actual playground to just manipulate things and come up with different kind of operations to understand pivot tables and to leverage its power, right? So first things first, these are the columns which are part of our table, right? Country, salesperson, order date, order ID, order amount. And over here, these 4 sections are the different kind of available options. We have filters, columns, rows, values. And we can just utilize it depending on the requirement, how we want our data to be presented over here, right? So let's say first things first, I want to put my country to the rows. So you don't have to do anything. Just click on this and just simply drag and drop to this particular section. You see this thing over here? So I just simply put my country to this row section. Now what happens is over here, notice on the left hand side, you see a small table which has different kind of available options for our country column, right? We only have 2 options. If I just pull up the data, notice that over here we can only see UK and USA as just the 2 countries available, right? And if you want to see the number of rows, I believe it should be 800, right? So these are the number of rows for our data. It's 800, right? So, and we have like around 3 and 2, 5 columns, right? So again, coming back to our pivot table creation sheet, so we just drag down this particular field name or the attribute over here to the rows, right? What next? Just drag it down the order date. Let's see like what happens and how does the table looks like, right? So I'm just dragging down the order date to the rows over here. Okay, so see that how it's just putting up the content, like firstly, it's just listing out the different kind of available countries, UK and USA. And under that, which is kind of a subcategory, it's just displaying the year, like in terms of, because we just drag down this order date. So it comes along with quarters and years. So that's something called as collapsing and expanding, right? So let's say if I click here on UK, and if I click on insert, again, I just go to this menu over here, options. You have something called as collapsing and expanding. It should be over here, but again, there's a shortcut. If you see this tiny little box with a hyphen sign, right? If I just click on this, it will just collapse. Again, there's an option called, let me just zoom this thing. So there's an option of plus sign, right? In this tiny little box. If I click on this again, it will just expand this particular value, right? Of course. So this is if you just want to visualize your data from a high level point of view, you can of course utilize this small thing which is just used for collapsing and expanding over here, right? So again, if I just again click on this sign to just expand this particular option, you have Q3 and Q4, right? And Q3, of course, the data or the date are structured in a format in which you have the months. Months are, of course, then written in the form of quarters, and then, of course, we have our years. So for each country, we have the different kind of available years, right? For UK and USA. Okay, what next? Let's say I want to put my order amount into the values category over here, section. So it will just print the sum of the order amount because it's a numerical value, right? what happens is I have my country, years, quarters, and order date over here, and the sum of order amount in the values section. So notice how our pivot table is looking currently. So we have different kind of values available as the sum of order amount, right? So this is the power of pivot tables to just understand with a help of like very basic and simple example, right? How within a minute we are able to just understand about our data by simply just using all these options of dragging and putting it down, right, in different categories depending how we want our data to be displayed, right? So I think make sure you work on this thing, and I think ideally it should pop up or put up the same values in your system. I think again, let's come back to our PPT. It just mentions the same details over here what we did, right? So again, salesperson, order date, country, and years and months, right? So collapsing and expanding of the field, which we just saw in a while, right? So okay, let's work on our another example. Let's say pivot table 2. Again, you can rename this sheet which we worked on. So let's say over here on the sheet 1, if I right click over here, there's an option called rename. Let me write it as pivot 1. Okay, I've just saved that file. So currently it's pivot 1. Awesome. And now let's come back to our example number 2, which is transactions 1 file. So let me just open up and just give me a minute. And okay, awesome. So here, if you click on transactions 1, you'll see that this particular worksheet have so and so columns. I think we have 12 columns: category name, product name, quantity, ship country, ship region, ship city, shipper name, unit price, discount, freight. And I think this might be a typo error. I'm not sure, like it's freight or weight, but just consider this column. It's employee ID and order date, right? And notice that we have around, I think it should be around 2,000 rows, if I'm not wrong. Awesome, right? We have around, the number of rows are 2156, right? So it's a large data set, like for you guys to just work on it for the first time, right? So again, it's fine, but let's just try to again do some sort of stuff based on the questions and leverage the power of pivot tables using different kind of operations in terms of filtering and sorting of the data, right? So again, we can all these things, some of the stuff will cover in XML also, which is a part of this particular recitation lecture only. But let's see like what we can do with this particular data. So again, just in the similar manner, click on any cell you want and just click on this option under the insert option which says pivot table. I click on this new worksheet. Okay, here we are. So again, it says sheet 2. Let me just rename this for now, or let's say I can rename it as pivot 2. Pivot 2. Awesome. So now we have all this column names over here in our right-hand pivot table screen, right? So now the tasks here is to just simply put the options over here into equivalent section to just try to understand the data. So let's say if I put category name into the rows, what it just puts or displays. So it displays all the different kind of categories available, all the unique numbers. So we have beverages, condiments, confections, dairy products, grains, cereals, meat, poultry, produce, and seafood. So these are the only available categories in our data, right? What next? Let me put the product name inside the rows now after the categories. So notice that how it's just putting the data into the subcategory of each category name, all the product names over here, right? So in the beverages, we have chai. For those, I mean, of course, you might be familiar with the name chai. Like it's a very popular drink, and it's consumed like in large amounts in India. So this is chai. And just for a quick tip, if someone might want to try a chai, you can try out chai at Starbucks, which is chai tea latte. So just on a side note, but again, we have different kind of beverages available over here inside the category field over here, right? And then we have condiments. So in that we have different kind of, again, stuff which is part of our product names, right? Let's look at dairy products. Of course, how we cannot not miss cheese, like it's mozzarella, right? Different kind of available stuff over here. We have queso, grains and cereals, meat, poultry. And in the seafood category, again, we have different kind of listed items in terms of product name category. So see like how we can just quickly display the options or the uniqueness of different kind of values available for each and every column just by putting the values in equivalent category over here, right? What next? Let's say I just want to try to understand the data categorized for each and every country present over here, because if you just look at our transactions one table over here, again, the data, we have something called a shipped country. So there are different kind of countries available over here. We have Germany, we have USA, Mexico, Switzerland, Brazil, France, right? So let's just try to play around and think of something what we can do with the help of this ship country column. Again, we have ship country over here. Let me just drag and put it down to the columns category over here, right? Okay, so now it's just, of course, giving me all the options of different kind of countries in the horizontal manner, because we put this option over here in the column section, right? Let me just put this ship city also, but not in the columns, in the rows category. Awesome. So just see that for each and every product name which lies under the umbrella of product category name, we have all the names of the city listed for each and every product, right? For chai, we have all the city names, again for Shang, for this particular option. So notice that how, so let me just like try to just collapse some of the options so that you'll just get an idea over here. So if I just collapse this option of chai, right, and beverage. So see, after beverage, the next category is condiments, right? So you can do it like whenever you want to just see, okay, what's the hierarchy of the data in which the data is divided into different kind of categories, right? So it just becomes easier for like someone who is just new or just want to try to understand how is the data and what kind of different kind of options are available, right? Of course, we can just see it from here also that in the row section, I have my category name, followed by product name, followed by ship city. So this is the order in which it's going to be displayed over here, right? So what next? We have something called as quantity, let's say. If I put this quantity, which is a numerical field or column, I put this over here into the values. It will simply output me the sum of the values present inside the quantity column. Again, it's written over sum over here, right? So I think that's the power of it. Again, let me just expand the options over here. And I think we have ship country. We have sum of quantity. Let's say we have, I think, something called a shipper name. So if I want to just put the shipper name into this filters category, now let's just try to focus what we are trying to do. I just dragged this shipper name option into the filters category. Okay. Did you notice something like some of the changes which happened over here? We got this thing into our first row, right? What's this? Like, okay, so do you see this particular drop down option over here? It says all. And if you just again quickly see the data in the shipper name, we have, I think, 3 different kind of categories: United Package, Speedy Express, and the third one is Federal Shipping. So it's showing the data for all the shipping category. So here, let's say in our pivot table, the business requirement is that you want to just know the data for only the Federal Shipping category, let's say. So here, if I just deselect all the options and only click on Federal Shipping, and that's it. So you're gonna get all the values or the data only for the rows which satisfies or for which the shipper name is just Federal Shipping over here. So I mean, this is so cool, right? We can just filter out the data based on what or how we want to just put it over here, right? I have all the names of the country, so again, it will just show me only the cities over here for which the shipper name is Federal Shipping, right? It's changing dynamically right over here. So in this way, I think you can just visualize and see, okay, for this particular city and for this particular product name, which comes under the category of beverages, and if I take the country of, let's say, Brazil, so for Rio de Janeiro, it's 20, the sum of the quantity over here, right? So I think it's pretty cool, which otherwise it will just it would be very difficult to just quickly get the insights and analyze the data, right? So for this purpose, I think pivot tables are used heavily, those who are working on Excel and to get the just insights of the data, right? So I think over here, what else we can do? Yeah, I think pretty much we covered, we did all the stuff required for this particular example. Again, same things written over here in simple English statements, the steps you need to follow to just work for this example, right? Federal shipping. Okay, so I have a task for you guys to work on. Make sure you just pause this video. Again, it's very simple. Just simply want to do what we did ahead, like in the earlier two examples, right? So create a new pivot table based on transactions1 worksheet. Just give me a minute. Okay, based on transactions1 worksheet that has countries and cities as row labels and shippers as column labels, employees as filters, and quantities as values. So you just want to just simply drag and drop the options based on the instructions given here. So you want to just drag and drop the countries and cities into the rows section, the shippers into the column section, and the employees as the filters, and quantities as values over here. Same thing over here, right? You have all these different kind of things available over here. Just do that and you should be good to go. It's very easier, just additional task for you guys to work on to just practice along with me, right? Moving ahead, let's just jump to Excel tables. So again, of course, no particular definition is needed of what are tables, but let's just try to understand what is the need to learn Excel tables, right? Why is it needed? Like, so again, tables are just containers for your data. Now, what do I mean by that? So let's just try to understand with the help of an example. So let's say if you have a house without any closets and cupboards to store things. So if I ask you that you gotta store all the things, all of your belongings in that particular house, which doesn't have any closets or cupboards, so like just imagine the chaos it would cause, like it would just be very messy, right? Because your stuff will not be organized, right? So to help or to make it proper, to make it everything organized, we should have closets and cupboards over here, right? So in your house, you might put all your plates into one kitchen cupboard. Similarly, you might put all your customer data into one Excel table. This is just the example. But what I'm trying to say is that the tables helps us to just perform different kind of computations and operations with our data, without which it would be difficult to do, right? So it just acts as a container wherein we can just organize our data. It gives that ease, different kind of options, very handy, so that we can just perform different kind of operations. So again, let's just quickly, of course, do the hands-on and create Excel table without wasting time on just learning the theory, because I believe some of the topics in Excel, it's all about practical and just doing the stuff rather than, of course, understanding in long theoretical manner. So again, let's just quickly go to our example. It says open transactions to spreadsheet. Click on any cell inside the data. So let me just quickly go to transactions 2. Again, we have the similar data, which have the columns of category name, product name, quantity, ship country, ship region, ship city, and stuff like that, right? So let me just open up the table and click on any cell. So just as like how we used to create a pivot table, in a similar manner, click any cell, click on insert. You see this option of table, just click on that and press OK. Wow, awesome. So notice that it's just converting our existing data into a tabular format over here, right? Everything is like beautifully organized in terms of a table. And this are our headers of all the columns, right? Category name, product name, quantity, and so on and so forth. So what we want to try to do with this data, let's just try to take a deep dive in different kind of available options and features in Excel tables, right? Let's say if I want to add a new column over here. So let's say we have 12 columns, right? Let's say I want to add a new column to my existing table. So over here, if I right click on this thing, or let's say if I just click on this thing over here, and let's say I want to name my column as net price. Net price. I think this is visible. Okay, net price. I simply have to hit enter or written. See, just notice that how it automatically merges this column into as a part of this particular Excel table, right? You don't have to do anything explicitly. So again, I want to fill, of course, the values with the help of my Excel function. So what kind of function I need to apply over here in order to calculate the net price? So we have a formula, something like this over here. If you just see, notice that we have a net price and we have a unit price and a discount columns in the fields. So we got to calculate our newly created net price column with the help of these two particular columns. The formula says that net price is equal to unit price times 1 minus discount. But there's a small catch over here, which we're going to see in a while. So if I write equal to and open up my left bracket, these are the available options which we have in Excel. It says this row. Of course, this is the methodology in which you want to, if you want to use any column name over here from our existing table, you got to use this @ symbol, which will just reference to this particular row. So I mean, yeah, that's just how it works, and it's just the way of writing, which if you want to just use any kind of column over here to just reference it and to use it in this particular row. So let's say if I want to use the unit price column first, I click on unit price over here. It should be here, right? Unit price. And I close this bracket times. Again, I open up the bracket. Again, same symbol, right? So I want to write 1 minus inside my curly braces or brackets over here, parentheses over here. I write again the same thing as @ or what's the formula? 1 minus discount. Okay. So inside my parentheses, I'll write it something like this, equal to @ and discount column. Awesome. And I think just close this right bracket over here. Notice the change in the color. So it's just highlighting this two particular columns, this two particular values, right? So if I click on enter over here, notice it will autofill all the values with respect to this particular formula over here, which you see in this formula bar section over here, right? @ unit price times 1 minus @ discount, right? So I mean, in this way, we can, if you want, we can add different kind of tables to our existing Excel table. Let's say I want to add one more column of net sale. Let's say net sale. Okay, and let's just try to look at the formula for net sale. It's net price times quantity, which makes sense, right? You want to calculate the net sale by multiplying the net price, which was the newly created column, times the quantity over here, which is this thing, our third column, right? So again, same formula. Just try to pause this video and just write this formula by your own. So, and just later on cross check whether it's matching or not. So I'll be saying that, okay, equal to, okay, this row, net price times this row, quantity. Awesome. Enter. It will just autofill all the values for all the column values for this particular column, right? So I think we created two different columns over here. What else? Let's just try to look what we are missing over here in our problem statement. Okay. Net sale. Okay. Let's just try to apply different kind of sorting and filtering options for our Excel table over here, right? So let's say now I want to put my data, or I just want to, let's say the business requirement, you want to just display all the data for the net for the data wherein the net sale lies in the range of 200 to 500. That's it. So how we want to do that? So So you see this small drag drop down option over here. Just click on that, and here's the actual power of Excel tables, right? We have plenty of options available over here to how we want to just manipulate and put our data out there, right? So if you click on this over here, filter, there are a couple of options: greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, or between. So let's say if I click on between, it asks me to enter two values, right? The range, like starting number and the ending number. So let's say I enter 200 over here and I enter 500 over here, and that's it. I just click on enter, and boom. So here you'll see that all of the values for this particular column lies in the range of 200 to 500, and we are getting the actual numbers based on what we want, right? So of course the number of rows will get reduced, and this is how we can just dynamically get the data based on how we want it, right? So what else? Let's say, for example, I just want to sort the data based on my product name category, and I want to sort it in ascending order. That is, by default, it will sort the order alphabetical wise, right? So if I click on ascending, notice that how the data is sorted alphabetically, right? It starts from A, B, C, and so on and so forth, right? So I think this is like something cool which we can just try to play around with different kind of available options. What else we can try to do? Let's say over here, let's just try to sort it according to the number of dates. So let's say change the filter so that the only dates in the second quarter of 2013, dates between April 1st to June 30th, 2013 are displayed. Okay. So in our order date column, again, I click on this drop down option, choose one, which was for second quarter of 2013. Choose one. So currently it's okay. Let me just quickly review it over here. Okay. Order date. Let me just do it like for the whole in general. So between, let's say I add April 1st, 04, 01, 13 till 1st June, 06, 01, okay, 6, 1, 13. Okay. It's just applying the filter, and we get all the data based on the order date, which lies in the range of April 1st to June 30th, 2013, right? So we're here. Awesome. What else? Let's try to just have all the data only for a specific country rather having it for all the countries. Let's say I just want a data for only Germany. Okay, awesome. So notice how just the data, overall data, got shrinked to just few of the rows having around more than 2,000 rows, right? And this way, based on any kind of questions which you have or you want to know about the data, you can just apply all of these options and leverage the power of Excel tables. We filter the data based on net sale, based on net price, let's say, or shipper name, right? Over here, we can of course do it with the help of shipper name also, like we did based on ship country. And what else? So I think basically the goal is to just try playing around and just make sure like what kind of questions you want to answer. Accordingly, you can just use different kind of available options over here, right? So the number filter is also used, of course, just as we use for net sale and date category. And what else do we have? I think today's recitation, like, of course, was not that heavy, considering the fact that I covered the VLOOKUP functions also in the last recitation. Today's recitation, we just want to focus on Excel tables and pivot tables. Talking about the assignment over here. Okay, I think let me just pull out the PDF, because there will be a zip file over there, right? So assignment number 11. Okay. assignment number 10. So this is the current assignment for which the due date is December number 8. So again, this assignment is designed to gain additional proficiency in the use of MS Excel tables, pivot tables, and lookups. Lookups we covered in last recitation. In today's recitation, which is recitation number 12, we are covering MS Excel tables and pivot tables, which will help you to just work on this assignment. I think you should be good to go if you just watch this video and practice the sheet which I'm sharing with you guys, right? Of course, the professor, of course, would have given you separate resources, and of course, you might have watched his own recording, right? So that stuff would be more than enough for you guys to just start for this assignment. Just make sure you follow the directions. Everything is listed over here. Make sure, I have always suggest the students that there's no harm in reaching out to me and emailing me, but make sure you read all of your assignment instructions 2 to 3 times, because everything, all the information over here is always usually listed over here. Of course, if you are stuck, you have any kind of issues, doubts to just understand any kind of function or a concept, you're most welcome and free to reach out or join my office hours or lab support hours, right? So we have Excel tables. There are the different kind of instructions given how you want to just create the pivot table, Excel table, and here are the references which you can use. It says chapter 13 and 14 of your fluency textbook, and support.office.com table and pivot table tutorials, lectures, and of course recitations. So I think this is the assignment after our heavy and good number of weeks for our JavaScript. I think it would be light and more interesting to work on our, again, spreadsheets and Excel series. So I think that's it. Let me just quickly check what do we have more to cover for today's recitation. In the meanwhile, let's just quickly, of course, let me just share you the secret code for today's recitation. It is 812. Again, let me just write it somewhere over here. 812. I think over here, let's write it over here. 812. This is our secret code for today's recitation. Make sure you mark your attendance just after you are done watching this recitation recording. And on a side note, of course, notice I posted an announcement for the extra credit assignment, and for which the due date, of course, was 26th November. And I believe most of you guys submitted the extra credit assignment. I'll grade that soon with along all the other assignments, and we should be good to go. What else? I think for next couple of weeks or just 1 or 2 weeks, we are gonna learn a few more things in our spreadsheets, and I think we are on the edge of like completing this course. So it has been a wonderful journey again. Make sure, like, I would personally love to just interact with you guys to know your feedback. How's it going? Some of them are like regular, or they just attend my office hours or lab support hours, but some of them are really lost. So I mean, if you're getting everything, and if it's smooth from your end, well, that's good for you. I mean, but if you're facing, again, even though like we are at the end of the course, but still if you're facing any kind of issues, just feel free to just email me. But of course, not just rather email me, but try to join my office hours or lab support hours, so that one-on-one we can just have a conversation like regarding whatever issues you are facing, right? So that's it for recitation number 12. Make sure you just download this particular Excel sheet, work on the different kind of task which we just perform by creating Excel tables, Excel pivot tables, and follow along the slides which I'm sharing you, of course, right? And see you guys next week, and till then, yeah, that's it. Make sure you mark the attendance. Okay, thank you.